some of the, we know with fanaticism, right? Fans are so attached to the team and their sport that their energy can get really misdirected towards players, even on a good day. So I know a lot of the work done in sports psychology is on mental toughness. How do you help a younger player maybe who's, not as thick-skinned?
Sure. So how do you help them deal with distractions?
Yeah, or just some of the negative charge. If they've always been star player, they've kind of haven't faced this kind of negativity, maybe
Hmm.
adversity on the field, but the levels of negativity seem like they're rising, especially with, your Instagram account. I mean, all of a sudden you went from being, like you said, a small town guy maybe who was really well known, but now you're on a public scale and people are
Sure. Sure.
lashing out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the first thing is just kind of awareness and acknowledgement and acceptance as this is like the new reality, as opposed to trying to want to get back to something that will never happen. So once you accept that this is kind of the new reality, understanding, that being able to separate and put energy into what you can control, but also kind of take a look in the mirror and say, what's really driving, my response? Is it that I don't feel like I'm being heard? I don't have a voice, publicly? Is it that, the things the fans are saying or the distractions that are coming in? Is it that, you feel like you're, I'd have to ask the player really, and each situation is different, but, how are they processing the stress or the distractions that they're going through? And, there's different approaches. My foundation, I would say, is, in this idea that, look, your mindset and your beliefs really dictate how you see certain situations. So, very rooted in just understanding self-talk, understanding your beliefs about different situations and kind of the glasses that you put on that develop your perspective, that the way you're interpreting what's going on around you, it's rooted in your belief system. And so helping players really dive into that and understand whether those beliefs are even accurate or not. Excuse me. That's one place to start, helping them try to see, it could be as simple as if it's Instagram, or do you have the discipline to delete the app? And if you don't, exploring, well, it's causing you all this strain and stress, what is it doing for you? Well, I really like the positive reinforcement, that I'm getting. Well, can we get that somewhere else? And if that's not an option, is that worth it? Is it real? And helping them kind of dive into maybe what they're experiencing from a distraction like Instagram or, cause you're right. Excuse me. Let me take a sip of water real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, right? I mean, we've seen like more in basketball, right? You had, players on the Sixers arguing not only with fans, but with the management and players. I mean, getting very public just because that impulsive need to defend,
That's right.
that if
That's
we're not
right.
skilled at it.
And I think for high level competitive athletes or high level performers in any industry, you're gonna find a lot of that, whether it's ego, whether it's the right to the willingness or want to defend yourself or stand up for yourself. There's a kind of a different route to take, maybe that is a more mindfulness, acceptance based route where the player doesn't feel like they have to do that. That takes a lot of work, I think, to get there, because that can be seen as weak, or you don't get the chance to defend yourself or whatever that is. But that again goes back to the belief systems of the player and where those beliefs came from. It might have been how they were brought up, or and could be any area. Let me give you an example. Try to make this a little more concrete. Every player has a belief as to the fans' range of distractions. We're talking about the Astros here. And if their belief is, like the fans can literally say anything they want, it's their right, it's human nature, or it's free will, we live in a free country, they can MF me and my baby down to the ground, then if that happens, they might not be as bothered. They might be able to let it off. But if their belief system is, look, you can rake me over the coals, but you leave my family out of it. Well, guess what happens when they bring up their family? They're going to be triggered. They're going to, they might talk back. They might respond. They might have some negative emotions that might show up in bad behavior. So part of it comes down to their own beliefs and how they're interpreting what's going on around them. So each player is different. You got to respect that in each player, but help them understand what's driving those responses.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I'm glad that you're there. That now that major league teams are allowing a professional in there, so that if you do the strong thing of not responding, at least you have a place you can express it. I mean, that's
Sure.
really the hard thing, right? Is like seeing the value in not responding, which as athletes, right, has always been that. That's how I establish how strong I am, my
That's
dominance.
correct. You attack, you attack, you attack. And so to expect them to, turn that off when they feel threatened, you don't get to be a major league player by stepping back when you feel threatened.